Calaroga Shark Media.
My, oh my, we're having some fun now. Hello, I'm Johnny Mac with your daily comedy news. I know I'm feeding your feed every 10 minutes with stuff on Monday afternoon. Just as I was editing this show, I got a text from my business partner, Mark Francis, and he's like, Kimmel's back tomorrow. And I'm like, oh, good, because I have to teach in an hour. ABC announced that Jimmy Kimmel Live is returning tonight after thoughtful conversations with parent company Disney. So here's the plan for today. You're about to get the normal Tuesday episode, as I've been doing. I've just been doing the normal stuff as their own regular episodes. Around noon today, assuming I actually get a chance to do the edit and a new opening, I have recorded an hour with Mark Malkoff. You know him from the Inside Late Night podcast, which is back today with a new episode, and he's got a book coming out called Love Johnny Carson. So I asked him on to mainly talk about Carson, but we also said words like Fallon and Leno and Letterman and, oh yeah, Kimmel and Colbert. We got into that too. So I'm going to put that out around noon. Now, luckily, my spidey sense must have been tingling because at some point I said something like, Mark, I just want the audience to know that it's like 1 p.m. on Monday as we're recording this because I have a feeling the news cycle will change 7 times between us recording this and me actually publishing it. Johnny Mac was right. It's not dated at all because we really were focused on the Carson of it all, but that's coming up around noon today. And then I have to catch my breath, and I'm going to get out a Kimmel bonus episode later today. I'm also scheduled to record with friend of the show, Jason Zinneman from the New York Times. So I'll have to figure out how that slots into all of this. And, and then tomorrow on Wednesday, it'll be super busy because I'll have to tell you what Jimmy Kimmel said and all that. So plenty of stuff coming up in this feed. And let me now just abruptly cut to what I had said before the Kimmel news broke, and I was talking about Caleb Heron. Caleb Heron had that new special. This was an HBO Max special. We'll get back to that. He commented on why President Donald Trump and other conservative Republicans are some of his favorite straight guys. He says because they hate gay people so much and they're such, and then he used the F word, not that F word, the other F word. Why did he go political in his special? Caleb said, because every day I feel effing insane. These people in charge are liars. They're evil, and I'm not scared of these MFers. These right-wing fascist freaks are trying to make a Christo-fascist government in the United States right now. I see right through them. They're weak and pathetic. I feel like in the national conversation, there's a lack of normal people just telling the effing truth. So I did watch some of the special on Sunday night between the main football schedule and Sunday Night Football. I was surprised this thing made HBO Max. Now, I shared this thought in the Facebook group, Daily Comedy News Podcast group. It might just be that I live on Old Man Mountain, and I'm always protective of brands. And I felt like this thing airing on something with an HBO logo anywhere near it, it felt very below par. This looks like a YouTube special, like, Caleb at the Chuckle Hut and just throwing up on YouTube. It looks like one of those. And that, to me, does not say HBO. Like, if I look at the recent Marc Maron special, visually, it looks like something on par with a George Carlin special from 30 years ago. That, in my old man brain, is what HBO comedy is. But I guess we live in this era where between this whole HBO Max, HBO Now, Max Plus, so all that, and plus putting the HBO shows on the same platform, on the same level with Dr. Pimple Popper, they've watered down their brand. And I think this is a great example of that, of this to me is not HBO comedy. Apparently it's HBO Max comedy, and I don't think the civilians understand that. Surprised this thing belongs on YouTube or maybe possibly Hilarious, but this is not an HBO special. The material is also C-level. Christella Alonzo has a Netflix special out today. She opens her hour with this joke. I'll spoil one joke for you. I had to make sure I drank some water, room temperature, because I hate ice. All right, so that tells you where this special is coming from. Christella caught up with the LA Times. Upper Classy is the culmination of a trilogy of specials. Christella explains. It started off as this random idea where I thought, what if I did a trilogy and showed life as I progress? I got the idea because when I had my sitcom, one of the biggest notes from the network, which was ABC, right, if I'm remembering correctly. We're mad at them this week. From the network in the studio was, it has to be about ascension. The family has to improve, grow. And I always thought, well, what does that mean in your mind? What do you think making it means? Because I can tell you that for my family, what making it means was very simple. We have money to pay the bills. But they're like, no, more. Well, I don't know the more. I'm still here. So I started thinking, what if in a weird way I document the ascension of me coming into my life? Lower classy really was, this is my bio, this is how my mom was, this is how my family was, this is how I'm doing. I shot the first special in August of 2016, then the election happened, and I was so depressed because I assumed people were better than what they turned out to be. I actually didn't know what I was going to do, and I decided to take a break from stand-up and everything because I couldn't mentally handle it, and I didn't feel like being funny, I didn't feel like being anything. She talks about middle classy. I started making a list of things that were different from me, and I wrote health insurance, and that's when I realized I didn't know how health insurance worked. That's kind of how middle classy started. Upper classy has a play to it in two ways. Look at how rich I am. You didn't think I was going to be that rich because of the story that I share, but also look at the persona my family made me to be. Bert Kreischer is going to star in a comedy movie called Homecoming. In Homecoming, we follow divorced dad Bert. The character Bert attends his college homecoming in an attempt to reconnect with his eldest daughter, who attends his alma mater. This sounds like an Adam Sandler movie so far. When Bert arrives on campus, he realizes his kids have parent-trapped him with his ex-wife. From there, the weekend's focus turns to competition, debaucherous mayhem, and perhaps a chance to reunite his family. That actually doesn't sound horrible, but I'm kind of surprised it doesn't star Adam Sandler and say Sonny Sandler. Speaking of Adam Sandler, he was at the Buffalo Sabres game before performing his comedy act. He met some members of the Sabres. The team posted on social media, do the guys think shampoo is better or conditioner? They also posted a Sabres goathead jersey with Gilmore on the back and a Bandits jersey with Sandman on the back. Syracuse.com went to see an Adam Sandler comedy show. Adam Sandler, as you know, is a fine dramatic actor. He made several good movies, including Uncut Gems and the Spaceman movie and the basketball one, and a lot of terrible movies. Syracuse.com tells us on stage, dramatic actor Adam Sandler told the audience he loves Syracuse and shared that he and his crew plan to head to Dinosaur Barbecue after the show. Earlier in the day, he had visited the Carmelo Anthony Basketball Center, where he played pickup basketball with the members of the SU men's and women's basketball team. Sandler was dressed in his classic oversized style, bright red track pants, and a baggy pullover. Wow, I'm actually dressed better than Adam Sandler. I have a properly sized gray sweatshirt on that I got in California, and my often worn gray sweatpants, and of course my neon blue, like Miami Dolphins blue Hokas. Those are sneakers. I digress. At one point, the great dramatic actor Adam Sandler invited audience members up to the stage so he could sing totally untrue songs about them. Special guests Rob Schneider and Kevin Nealon were the openers. SUNY Cortland alumnus Kevin James got one of the biggest ovations when he walked on stage wearing a Syracuse lacrosse shirt. The local Syracuseans, is that what you're called? Enjoyed that. Syracuse.com tells us by the end of the night, Syracuse had gotten more than a comedy performance. It was an evening of laughter, nostalgia, and music, tied together with enough local shout-outs to make the crowd feel like part of the act. John almost forgot to do the Toronto Comedy Festival again. Why don't you put Toronto in the scripts, John? Because John has been recording a lot of Jimmy Kimmel-related stuff. I have not had a minute to myself since last Monday, not complaining. I'm just telling you why. I don't have this in the script, but I didn't forget. I am having a lot of fun doing this. I'm pumping out a lot of content for good reason. Or for bad reason, actually, but just having a lot of fun. Okay, today is September 23rd. As I mentioned yesterday, that the new owners haven't done a great job with this website. Okay, here we go. 8 o'clock tonight, Matthew Broussard. He was a guest on this show, and I like him a lot. He's fantastic. He's at the Bloor, B-L-O-O-R, Comedy Bar at 8. Sabrina Wu at 8:30 at the Danforth Comedy Bar. One of the things I like about the Toronto Comedy Festival, it's mostly bar scenes. And you can hop. I haven't checked, and I should know this. You know, I only host the program. In the past, they would have like a bar hopper pass where you could just go to a bunch of shows. Now, I had media credentials because I'm fancy, but it was a really good deal, and it's a great way to do the festival. It's pretty quiet on a Tuesday. There's a couple other things that you haven't heard of, but that's what's happening there tonight. If you need something to watch on the 800-Pound Gorillas YouTube channel, Chris Gethard's The Father and the Son. Got a lot of TV news that I didn't get to, none of it having to do with late night. Dr. Cox is back. John C. McGinley is joining the Scrubs revival. So I think they have everybody now. I don't know if we have the Todd. I don't know if the Todd is back, but we've got JD and Turk. Elliot's back. Haven't heard anything about Neil Flynn as the janitor. Neil's got that Modern Family money, right? He might not need to work anymore. Neil Flynn might have like secret cash, but I could see Neil Flynn showing up. Carla's back. Now, Dr. Kelso was played by Ken Jenkins. Ken is 85 years old now, so it wouldn't make any sense for him to actually be on the show, but I wouldn't be surprised if we check in with him at one point. And the Todd. The Todd appears in 126 episodes of Scrubs. Wow. So we'll see if he turns up. The Paper is going to proper NBC. Now, I've been watching this thing. People keep asking about it. It's not funny, but it's watchable. The main two characters are likable. The secondary cast, I think, is actually subpar. But the main two are charismatic enough that they're carrying this show. And it's something to have on while you're playing on your phone, prepping your podcast, killing time until Thursday Night Football starts. So, I think I like it. I definitely don't love it. If it got canceled, I would go on with my day. I guess what I'm saying is it's better than I initially thought, but it is not funny. But anyway, it's going to air on proper NBC. Lisa Katz, who's the president of scripted programming at NBCU Entertainment, said in a statement, knowing how much The Office was beloved by a broadcast audience when it aired on NBC, we wanted to give The Paper a similar opportunity to connect. Then you should have put it on NBC in the first place. One of the strengths of our company is meeting fans where they are by delivering shows across multiple platforms to maximize exposure and engagement. Translation, we saw that people didn't hate this, so we're going to give it a shot on NBC proper. The Paper will be on NBC Monday nights. It'll be paired with St. Denis Medical. I thought that was over. That's still going, huh? All right, maybe I'll check that show out too. Rainn Wilson was on the Last Laugh podcast. Is Dwight going to show up on The Paper? Rainn said, I don't think so. I mean, The Paper's set in Toledo, and it's a newspaper. I don't know why Dwight from Lackawanna County would be visiting Toledo. The answer would be Rainn Wilson needs a paycheck. That would be the answer. So you're telling me, Rainn Wilson, you don't need a paycheck. Let me ask you a really difficult question. Hey, Rainn, we want to make you the co-lead of The Paper. Don't worry about why Dwight is working in a newspaper, but we're going to give you steady work. Now what's your answer? I'm just curious. The answer might be no. The Last Laugh said, I'm sure they could come up with a reason. Rainn Wilson said, you're right. Never say never. That certainly could happen. And yeah, I think it would be fun. I mean, one thing I've always said to them is, can we do a movie? Wouldn't that be do a 2-hour movie? We could get like 1 billion people to watch a 2-hour Office movie. The producers, Greg Daniels, they don't think of it in those terms. They think of it financially. Like a movie will make X amount of dollars. It'll be on a streamer. It's a lot of work. It's much more lucrative to have a show that goes year after year after year. But I think it would be a lot of fun. And I think you get most of the main cast to participate. Eric Rahill plays Travis on The Paper. He said, right after I got signed, my agent sent my stuff to Greg Daniels, who would come in for an interview in the winter of 2023 for a writer role. I thought it went well. I didn't know. I called my parents I think I have a good vibe from this, but then I didn't hear anything for 5 months. Yeah, welcome to getting hired in America. So I took a job at Nordstrom Corporate. And right after I started, I got this call in April, and they were like, we want you to be a writer, and we'll figure out the acting. But I hadn't told anyone at Nordstrom I did comedy. The writer's room started on a Monday. I found out I got it on a Friday afternoon. I had to set up a meeting with the Nordstrom boss at 9 a.m. on Monday. It was rough. I felt bad. I had just started, and I was like, hey, this is crazy, but I'm quitting immediately, and I can't tell you what I'm working on because of an NDA, but I'm out. They were nice. My boss was a little blindsided and said, we wish we had told us she did comedy. But then later was like, I'm glad you're doing something you believe in. Great company, by the way. And then at 11 a.m., I joined the Zoom for the writer's room. Natasha Lyonne and Matt Berry are going to co-create and star in the new retro comedy adventure series Force and Majeure for UK Sky Network. I Love Matt Berry. The show features a British art expert and an American mercenary teaming up against international villains. Sky describes the show as a retro-infused, playfully irreverent take on the classic TV action-adventure detective genre. In Force and Majeure, British art expert Thomas Force, love it, Matt Berry, and American mercenary Jennifer Majeure, Natasha Lyonne. I love this. Back in the serious days, we used to play this game. I would travel the country with Mark Says I was our on-air talent. And we would just play we would either make up Air Bud movies. My favorite we came up with was Paw Position, which would have had Air Bud, the golden retriever, driving in a NASCAR race. How that would have worked, who cares? It's an Air Bud movie. And I remember we used to have a show called Side Out, which would have been about a gay volleyball player. And his name was something like James Side Johnson, something like that. Because that's what NBC would name shows. So I love that Force and Majeure is about Thomas Force and Jennifer Majeure. Love it. The pair are recruited by an eccentric, justice-obsessed billionaire named Amanda Daventry, and find themselves tasked with defeating the evil plans of international villains operating in locations across Europe. But as Force and Majeure team up to defeat the forces of evil, they must also work together to escape the clutches of Amanda, The billionaire woman who may not be telling them the whole story. Force and majeure will be shopped to U.S. buyers. You can ingest that into my veins. Somewhere on the internet, you should watch Toast of London and Toast of L.A. Let me just pull up Just Watch and see if that's available anywhere. Do you know about Just Watch? I know I do this every time I mention Just Watch. It is a website that will tell you where these things are. Let's see. Toast of London, one of my favorites. It's right now on BritBox, if you have BritBox. Mitchell and Webb's return doing well. Mitchell and Webb Are Not Helping has been seen by nearly 2 million viewers, making it UK's Channel 4's biggest new comedy launch since 2018. The opening episode, which launched September 5th at 10 p.m., pulled in 1.8 million viewers across linear and, quote, big screen streaming in its first 7 days. Got a 29 share among 16 to 34s. Charlie Perkins is the head of comedy at Channel 4, and Charlie says, "They said sketch was dead, but it's great to see a resurrection underway with Mitchell and Webb Are Not Helping. In these increasingly serious times, it's no surprise people turn to comedy for comfort and the release you can only get from watching a dog explode because it's seen an expensive suitcase." David Mitchell said, "I've never been worried about the future of comedy, really, whether people make sketch shows or not. The future of the sketch show is in doubt for a bit and still is, but I think in general people love comedy in this country more than anywhere in the world. It's why comedies get so savaged by the media when they don't work, because people really care and they're offended by comedy being bad or not to their taste. If a drama doesn't work, they just move on, but we're passionate about comedy." And the Golden Globes is getting a companion TV special, this called Golden Eve. It will air Thursday, January 8th, 3 days before the Golden Globes, which this year, once again, hosted by Nikki Glaser. I haven't heard from her in a while. She was all over the news for the first half of the year. The Golden Eve will honor recipients of the Cecil B. DeMille Award and the Carol Burnett Award. Oh, one more. See, this is all the stuff I didn't get to because of the Kimmel. Do you like Friends? Well, Central Perk is opening a permanent location in New York's Times Square. This is so... if you are from New York or if you work in New York, you don't go to Times Square ever. I used to have to walk through Times Square. It was the quickest way to get to work, and it's a nightmare. I get, if you're not from New York City, I get it. I get it's really cool to stand there and look at all the electronic billboards and the big space, and you've heard of Times Square and you've heard of the New Year's ball drop. I get it. But if you're from New York, you don't go there. And then you see things like the Bubba Gump shrimp store, and you're like, who goes there? So who goes there are the tourists, and the tourists are going to be excited that Central Perk is opening a permanent location in New York's Times Square. The coffee house is a, quote, modern-day version of the place the Friends used to hang out at. Central Perk promises artisanal coffee drinks, meaning $9 coffees, and Friends-inspired food items. Central Perk will include a replica of the orange sofa, so enjoy standing online for your 5-second Insta, merchandise, and take-home coffee blends available for purchase. You'll find this on 47th and 7th. It is the second permanent outpost for Central Perk. There's one in Boston. And that is your comedy news for today. Keep checking the feed because stuff's going to pop up. Normally I'd say see you tomorrow, but I might see you in 5 minutes. I have no idea what's happening anymore. Just keep checking the feed. Like once an hour, go, did he put out an episode? And maybe I did.